Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to the application? Please. Please identify yourself and allow yourself to be sworn in.
Elisha Ellis. I reside at 98 Warren Street. I have with me 7 legal documents that I'm. I'm sorry.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. I have seven legal documents. I'm going to read in the record for you. I ran out of printer ink when I was running stuff out, so I only had a second copy. Well, actually, the United States of America Unincorporated Union of States Declaration of Political Status. I, the living man, Elisha Ellis, affirm and declare that I have returned to my lawful birthright political status as Rhode Island, and I claim my exemptions as stated in Federal Code 8, USC 1101A 21. This I declare and affirm on the penalty of perjury and under the public law of the United States of America. By Elisha Ellis. Notice to agents is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agents.
Excuse me, but I think you need to combine your comments to the application before you. You're speaking to the application.
What I prefer, the documents I'm reading in are all in reference. They are going to be read for record. Thank you. First, I'll cite page 1 of the American Bar Association and International Bar Association Affidavit of Obligation International Commercial Lien dated October 15, 2015. And I quote, American Bar Association and International Bar Association Affidavit of Obligation International Commercial Lien. This is a verified plain statement of fact. Date October 15th, 2015. Maxims. All men and women know that the foundation of law and commerce exists in the telling of truth, and nothing but the truth. Truth as a valid statement of reality is sovereign in commerce. Any unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce.
Mr. Ellis,
is acted upon as
Mr. Ellis.
In commerce.
Mr. Ellis.
Guaranteed, all men shall have a remedy due to the remedy by the due course of law. If a remedy does not exist, or if the remedy has been subverted, then one may create a remedy for themselves and endow it with credibility by expressing it in their affidavit. Ignorance of the law might be an excuse, but it is not a valid reason for the commission of a crime when the law is easily and readily available to anyone making a reasonable effort to study the law. All corporate government is based upon commercial affidavits, commercial contracts, commercial liens, and commercial distress. Hence, governments cannot exercise the power to expunge commercial process.
Mr. Ellis, this has no bearing on the application. Respectfully, these are not going to be introduced into the record.
It will be read into record.
No, it will not be. Mr. Ellis, it will not be.
International notice to vacate. The commercial organizations that have been hired by the British governments and the Holy See to provide governmental services stipulated under the 3 federal constitutions have been terminated in bankruptcy. Our contracts are not with these subcontractors, but their bankruptcy and bad performance does impact us, and we have due cause to manage our own affairs and to make decisions with respect to the new service providers. Our actual contractors are with the principals, the Pope, the Queen, and the Lord Mayor of London. We have not approved and do not have contracts with any of the new municipal corporations and or territorial corporations, which are seeking to create contracts by assumption of contract in succession. We have specifically provided notice to the other principals and have been denied any assumption of succession by the Biden administration for cause. Mr. Biden is a self-admitted influence peddler and crook. There is therefore no controversy. He admits it. We accept the admission. The number of our municipal employees and dependents who may or may not have voted for Mr. Biden is a new issue. This decision is not to hire the Biden administration and not to allow it to represent us. And forbidding access to our credit is a business decision made by lawful deputies, and it may not be presumed against. We are the employers and the presumed donors of the public trusts. As donors, we have returned and demanded the liquidation of the public trusts and the return of the assets, unharmed and unencumbered. This includes all state trust and cess-privee trust assets, all gold and silver assets purloined and deposited offshore, domestic and overseas investments, and all credit owed to the American states and people. We have provided the means to accomplish this removal of the artificial structures that have been imposed under false legal presumptions and have allowed for a safe and gradual transition to state assembly control. All the territories that have entered into territorial statehood between 1860 and 1959 have been enrolled as states of the Union and have entered into their true capacity as states according to equal footing doctrine as of the 1st of October 2020. All territorial state organizations are provided notice to vacate and must begin withdrawal and transition planning. Multiple state-of-state organizations, which should not exist under the provisions of the federal constitution, have already had 10 years to reorganize and liquidate their business interests and are together with the federal agencies not being allowed to continue unlawful and unconstitutional incursions. Grant of jurisdiction issued to the International Criminal Court at The Hague, Netherlands. Be it known to the International Criminal Court at The Hague, Netherlands, the prosecutor's office of the International Criminal Court, and all to whom these presents come. The municipal United States, operating as the United States, is a dependent sovereignty, exercising delegated authority under treaties and contracts owed to our unincorporated Federation of States doing business as the United States of America. Since the 1870s, this incorporated foreign for-profit entity has been operated in breach of trust and under conditions of fraud, making it an international pirate and criminal syndicate. Remove any supposition that this municipal entity has any sovereign power or state immunity of its own, and any other supposition or claim that it enjoys any such power under our delegated authority amounting to sovereignty is false. It and its franchises, subsidiaries, and successors in various departments represent an incorporated conglomerate run by the Vatican and ultimately owned by the Pope. It is entirely accountable under the statutes of Rome, and all its components are subject to the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction.
Mr. Ellis, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave voluntarily. Otherwise, you're going to be removed from the chamber. Which do you choose?
Presumptions otherwise are false.
Would you please escort? Thank you.
All right, I'll just read the very last.
You're not going to read anything, Mr. Ellis. It's over. Thank you.
The foreign incorporated service providers are not Americans and are not American sovereigns. Thank you very much.
So, you want to get this oil?
I'm not getting this one. You're pulling on me.
No, it's not me.
They are not American sovereign states because these, dude, you know what?
I asked you nice, once.
Therefore, I will not pay taxes in the United States of America. I do the same argument in the courts, same bridge.
Seeing that there are no other members of the public here to speak in opposition to the application area, is there anybody online? With that, unless you would like to respond, Mr. West.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. We'll close the public portion of the hearing as it relates to this agenda item.